members. My name is Joe DePrang, and I'm the Policy Research Associate for the Children's Defense Fund. Thank you for letting me speak today, and thank you for taking on the difficult work of deciding how best to keep Texas fiscally sound and physically safe while managing people detained by the state. There is such complexity and competition among priorities in the areas on which you lead, as anyone who pays attention to the administration of justice knows, which is why I count myself lucky to be testifying today on juvenile justice. When it comes to kids in custody, all the top priorities work together in harmony. The same policy choices that keep young offenders safe and keep Texas compliant with federal laws like PREA also keep Texans safer and the state more solvent by reducing adult criminal justice involvement and recidivism. In other words, this is an easy one. The policy choices CDF Texas urges you to adopt can be summed up thusly: treat kids like kids. Don't put juveniles in prison jumpsuits and chains when they go to court. It makes them look like hardened criminals, prompts other people to treat them this way, and worst of all, encourages them to see themselves this way. Ankles, shackles, handcuffs, and even zip ties binding their hands say to them and to the adults deciding their case, this is a dangerous person. We can't even let him sit in his own clothes in court like most adult defendants do, still looking and being treated as if innocent until proven guilty. Obviously, if restraints are necessary for safe proceedings, they should be used, but this should be the exception, not the rule. Again, it is not in the state's best interest to encourage young people to see themselves as criminals unless it wants to keep seeing them that way for a long time. Likewise, charge kids like kids. Don't prosecute youths for Class C misdemeanors. The number of Class C charges filed has dropped considerably since reforms passed in 2013, but more than 60,000 youth are still charged annually, and this benefits no one. Use a juvenile Class C charge instead. If a juvenile commits what would, were they an adult, be considered a felony, then a young person committing the equivalent to the lowest existing category of offense shouldn't find themselves suddenly jumped to the adult status. Put another way, if arson gets expunged, loitering should too. Others testifying today will no doubt cover the economic inefficiency of siphoning kids into the adult criminal justice system, which is the effect, no matter how innocuous the intent, and how ticketing minors disproportionately punishes poor students and makes it harder for them to do the very things that keep people productive, law-abiding citizens, like renting an apartment and holding down a job. But what I want to stress is that our justice system should be just, and capricious or illogical enforcement policies like ticketing kids for Class C misdemeanors does a disservice to the child and to the juvenile system at large, and can foster an early mistrust of the entire criminal justice apparatus that doesn't make anyone safer. And finally, judge kids like kids. Raise the low end of the age range handled by juvenile courts. Young kids should be treated for behavioral issues in a developmentally appropriate setting and held fully responsible for their actions to a lesser degree than older kids. That's what our whole separated juvenile and adult system is about, acknowledging that with aging comes the gradual accrual of maturity, impulse control, good judgment, and understanding of consequences and cause and effect. This is as true of a 12-year-old versus a 16-year-old as it is of a 16-year-old versus a 20-year-old, except probably more so. Respect the wisdom and logic on which the juvenile justice system was built by keeping younger kids out of it. And please raise the age. Thank you so much for your time today and your service every day.
Thank you. Representative Wu.
Thank you. And I want to thank y'all for the work you guys do. We've worked together a lot in the past, and I appreciate it. And I know not a lot of members sat through Chief Justice Heck's speech last week, but I think he mentioned many of these same items in his speech, and I just want to commend everyone who's working on these issues for taking on a cause that I think not many people even know about. And, I think just making not only children's lives better, but making the entire state better. So thank you.